we've seen it on TikTok, we've seen it on YouTube where adults are trolling young kids in these VR games, right? And you can hear them, they're like got a squeaky voice, and we've all been there. But they're crying and getting trolled on these video games, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs. They don't know how to act normal. It's completely obvious to me that as much as you hate it, and I would have hated it as a kid, like, sometimes these kids need like parental controls and a parent to monitor them.
110%.
It is Morokai with 2 eyes. We're back on every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 7 a.m. on Spotify and 4:30 p.m. on YouTube.
There's a few things that I'd just quickly like to address before we get into any topics.
Oh, hit me.
And I know that I might sound like a news anchor with my little papers in front, but
just give me a tap.
Obviously, we're on Spotify,
on the cheek.
and we're really after those reviews.
Oh,
I can't stress enough. I know that we've addressed it in the past, but I thought, hey, instead of addressing it at the end when people may have clicked off, let's address it right at the start.
Why would they click off?
So who knows? Maybe they're not a fan of the topic. Oh, there's some odd units out there.
Yeah.
There's some odd units out there. So what I wanted to say is, if you are enjoying the podcast, if you're enjoying what you're listening to, if you have any ideas or anything, throw us some questions. If you know us on Facebook, shoot us a message on Facebook. If you have anything as well, like shoot it on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever social media. Give us topics that you would like us to cover. But also leave a review. We're really after those reviews.
If you give us a review and you screenshot it and send it in.
Yeah, the first person to do this, and I will. In fact, should we? I think we should. We will give away one of our staple hoodies.
Done deal.
Your colour, you pick the colour, sorry. You also pick the size. And whilst we're speaking about the hoodies, if you haven't already as well, visit www.morokai.com and purchase a hoodie. Once they're gone, they're gone. We cannot stress this enough. They're a limited time offer. I know it's currently summer, so I don't know, that's on my end. However, get in now, get your hoodie for winter, come prepared. Because just like your mum always says, trust me, it's cold outside, you will need a jumper. And that's where our Morokai hoodie comes in. Look, do yourself a favour. Your mum's already on board with us.
Yeah, you just know, hey, look, the sun is always out at the moment. It is. But
trust me, I know, I'm sunburned. I know you can't visually see this if you're listening.
But Lee is
But if you check it, yeah, it's bad. It is so bad.
But guys,
wear sunscreen.
There's going to be rain. There just has to be. And you want a staple hoodie by your side.
Exactly.
So, yeah, look, anyway, guys, if you leave a review screenshot and with your screenshot you send us a topic, first one. Actually, no, we'll put everyone who does it.
Yeah,
we'll do a random
put it into
pick.
a little draw.
Yeah, we'll do
Make
a random
exciting.
pick. And you get a free hoodie of your size and your colour. So, anyway, enough of the plug. Guys, we're back.
That we are.
What do we not talk about?
So, well, I actually got given a topic.
Oh.
A topic from a listener as well, and which is the best thing, I think. This is why we do the podcast.
Was it your mum?
So it wasn't my mum. So
Wait, was it?
So no, it wasn't. It actually wasn't. But I will. No. It wasn't my mum. I'm just going to get the screenshot up. So it's my good friend Jono. He's an active listener. He's been listening to us ever since we started. As soon as he found out that we were doing a podcast, he's like, mate, send me the link. I want to follow your Instagrams. I want to subscribe on YouTube. So not only does he listen to the podcast, he also watches it back on YouTube.
Has he been a day one?
So he's a day one, mate.
Is he?
I swear on my life. Before I obviously you got to connect and say, get your mates involved and say, hey, if you haven't reviewed the Spotify, leave a review. And he was like, mate, I've already done it.
Mate, we're giving Jono a free hoodie.
Jono a free hoodie is... We're just giving him a... Are we Oprah? Are we actually Oprah?
No. We're what, 150 eps in or something like that?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, if he's been supporting and he's given us a topic, yeah.
His favourite one was Dragon Ball Z. He's an avid... He loves Dragon Ball Z. He's actually got a Dragon Ball Z tattoo.
Isn't that funny that the one episode that literally like Spotify was like, we don't know what's wrong with the episode.
Well,
is the Dragon
he
Ball
was
Z
also
episode.
the one to... He was one of the very... Aside from your girlfriend as well, and also my missus, he was actually one of the people to be like, hey, mate, I just want to give you the heads up. The audio's screwed.
Nah, give the man Audi.
So,
he's getting Audi.
Well, I'll leave an inbox. I'll inbox him after this podcast saying, mate, what hoodie would you like? So, but he's actually got... It says, mate, got an idea for the pod. How do parents decide what video games to buy their kids?
Oh, I love that.
Which I was like, that is a fucking unreal topic. Like, in all seriousness,
banging.
Because I wouldn't have a clue. I remember being a kid and like asking mum for a game and she was like, no, you're not getting that. But then he also brings it up. So he's like, reason I bring it up is my partner and I have a system where we both have to agree on the game I have to look into it, and if we do get it, I have to play it before my child's allowed to play. If it's not appropriate, he doesn't get it. My partner asks me all the time if Roblox is appropriate for him because his friends play it, but if there's a chat room, we won't let him have it. Which I think, as a parent, in especially today's day and age, that's probably a fair reason. If there's a chat, because there are some freaks that play Roblox. Like, I feel like that's now the notorious game where pedophiles are lying, because it used to be Minecraft.
Yeah, and Penguin Club.
Well, that's
Question.
True. Yes.
How old is his son?
His son, that's really bad on my end because I should know this. I'm going to say, no, I want to say.
Kinder, primary, or high school will be
no,
good.
it'd be primary, 7 or 8, I reckon.
Yeah, beautiful. Jono, your son's getting a hoodie too.
Oh, wow.
No, we can't give him away. but Jono, your son can wear the hoodie we're giving you.
There you go. Jesus. Look at that. But I think it's an amazing topic.
I think it is.
Because it's one that I was like, wow. I really haven't given much thought about this, especially because obviously we don't have kids.
And a big shout out to you, Jono, too, because sometimes, like, look, we get busy with work, life, and sometimes we sit down to the pods and we just have no topics. We're 150 episodes in.
The listeners know. So the fact that you've really conquered all of them,
we love it.
Is amazing.
Yeah. Does his wife want a hoodie?
So,
I can't be giving away.
You're luring me in now. Bloody hell. It's like you're going fishing with a hook and you're just reeling me in.
Mate, that is a fantastic question because I've got a few people at work. I'll give two scenarios. One's got a kid who is about 13.
Yes.
And they have full-on fits if they get their iPads taken away from them.
See, that amazes me.
Like full-on crying, screaming fits.
That amazes me just in the sense of, like, because I seriously was thinking this the other day. I'll be screwed if I can remember I think the last app I played was maybe COD Mobile when it first dropped. And I played it all for maybe a week. To each their own, but I just don't get the thrill of gaming on my phone or on like an iPad, like personally.
Do you want me to turn it around though?
Yeah, far away.
How much thrill do we get by just scrolling YouTube, Instagram, and
that's a fair
TikTok
call.
Shorts?
That is a very fair call.
We're not playing a game, but we're using the thumb to go up and down constantly.
That's true.
And we're stuck on it. So,
no, fair point. That's a very fair point that you raise.
Yeah. So, it is bad with the kids though. Part of me, like, sometimes I'm always like, oh, you know, how was the kid raised if you're allowed to have fits and screaming? Like when I was a kid, if I wasn't allowed my game and I did a screaming fit, like I'm getting smacked.
Oh, yeah, it was the end of the world.
Yeah, yeah, but my parents are smacking me.
Correct.
And I'm not going to have to fit again. But now you're not allowed to.
Discipline.
Yeah, the police will be at your door before.
Yeah, most definitely. Somehow the kid's already called the cops.
Linda next door's made a tweet, you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly. But I just thought it was a good question because I look back and think all the way back to San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I remember I was actually down at my nan's where you used to holiday as well, and I was looking.
And then your nan had some good times.
So, oh, jeez, I don't like how you said that. Mr. Young Gravy, however you want to call yourself. But I remember going, to the Target Country. It was actually. So I'm just trying to remember because I used to hate that. I used to hate that shop so much. So yeah, went into Target and San Andreas was there, and I remember like all my mates were playing it, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is on the shelf." Because I feel there was a period where like they were selling San Andreas, and then like more so like your Kmart's, Big W's, like they had to take it off because it was actually I feel like it was R18 at the time because you could actually have sex in the game.
That was probably the drama back then if their kids should be allowed to play something like that.
I remember picking it up and being like, oh my God, I want this. And walking with my mum up to the counter to get it, and the lady scanned it, and then she looked at me and she's like, oh, is this for your son? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm actually not meant to be selling this. And all that. So it's like,
Mum fumbled the bag there. What's she doing? Telling you.
So I don't know what she was thinking, but it just, and then even like other like Call of Duties, for example, like their MA. So I was thinking though, like, because even Grand Theft Auto 5 was R18. I remember I couldn't get it at the time because I wasn't 18. So in high school, our mates that were already 18, I was like, could you go to EV Games before school starts and get me the copy?
Isn't that fun?
Because I couldn't, because I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. It's bloody crazy because if you've got a kid who is throwing massive tantrums, not getting off the game, I think there's a bit of a difference from.
It's great sound effects.
I think you're only.
It's funny as well because
you're only going to be allowed one sip from that.
Yeah, I know, one sip per pod. It's a policy. It's because of the ice block this time.
It is the ice block.
So,
No, that's okay.
I love how like I've done so well with my bottles.
Yeah.
Like the very if you jump all the way back to the first podcast, it's wait mate, Tone, what are you doing? Never bring a pop top to the podcast. Yeah. So I refused to. To the point where I was actually having drink bottles without the lid on, and I've now got a Yeti.
You now fumbled it.
Yeah, I just
no, it's all right. Yeah. So the kids that go nuts on their games, what's the pun? Are parents not able to be like, okay, go to your room? Like, is that not a thing? Are these tantrums so next level? So out of control? Because I've got another guy I work with. His son is addicted to sport, like just addicted to it. So he's in grade 5 or 6.
Yes.
He set it up so there's so much parental controls now that I didn't know about. Like you can set your iPad up for your kids to only play an hour, 2 hours of games, and then if they or even PlayStation, and if they want to play more when you're not home, they have to request. Yeah, they have to request it.
Oh, right.
So my boss, he gets a notification if his son wants to play more video games.
Yeah,
and he might allow half an hour more. And I'm like,
that's so interesting.
That's so different. But he doesn't really want to play them anyway because he loves
so
his
into sport. Yeah.
Yeah. And the kids that are into the video games, it's hell or high water. They want to play all night. They will not get off. And when they finally are finished and they go to bed, straight away the next morning.
Yeah.
They don't want to interact. They don't want to do anything. Mate, we've seen it on TikTok. We've seen it on YouTube where adults are trolling young kids in these VR games, right? And you can hear them. They're like got a squeaky voice, and we've all been there. But they're crying and getting trolled on these video games, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs. They don't know how to act normal. It's completely obvious to me that as much as you hate it, and I would have hated it as a kid, like sometimes these kids need like parental controls and a parent to monitor them.
110%. I don't think I would want my child being on one of those VR chat rooms.
No, 100%.
The amount of shit like adults are pulling on like younger kids is like next level. Let alone like being like, hey, visit this website. And as a kid, you're young and naive. So if someone tells you to do something, 9 times out of 10, you're going to do it.
Just the swearing.
No questions.
Just like the lower tier stuff.
Like even that like the N word.
Yeah.
And like, you don't want a kid running around saying that.
And then it's becoming the norm for them. But it's not how normal kids... I mean, I was about to say it's not how normal kids act, but I guess is it starting to change? That where it's...
Well, it could be.
That's the norm?
I think my first like gaming experience with a chat room was maybe like Maid Marian.
What's that?
It was like a website and there were a couple of different games that you could play. I remember there was one where you could be like a knight and people would be like, what was the thing on Omegle? Was it ASL? Yeah, age, sex, location. So they would ask that, and then people were like, "Oh yeah, I'm a female," and then like halfway through, like they changed their character to male. It's like, "I'm just kidding, I'm a 30-year-old man." And like all that, but like some of the questions like these people are asking in these chat rooms, and again, more specific to those younger kids because they are so young, naive, they don't know any better. Are giving away like their full name, their address, and all that, and like it's bloody scary.
It is scary because it's
like ROBLOX to me. I look at it and my first initial thoughts, without deep diving me, I'm like, that is like a game for like primary school kids.
Oh, no, 100%.
But
it's
then,
a pedophile's dream.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I couldn't think of anywhere else a pedophile would be than stalking those types of games. It is a kid's game. Like kinder to primary school, that's where all kids would be, and that's where they would be playing.
I would almost rather my kid, granted I know there's a bit of like game chat, I would much rather and feel a lot better if my child was playing Fortnite than Roblox.
Yeah. Yeah,
yes, I know there's guns involved, but like it's arcade, like it's not like...
There's never been good evidence to come out from kids, like when there's school shootings, they love like bringing it back to video games, right?
Yeah.
But if there's kids that are, I guess, incels, I'm not saying this is everyone, all different types of people play video games, but in that category, incels are usually playing video games because they're stuck inside. They're not sporty. They don't like to do these other things.
They don't like to interact with other people.
But there's no real good evidence, in fact, to say that video games make kids like want to, shoot up.
Correct. And I look back at it as well. And for the longest time when I was a kid growing up, I don't think I even played my first shooter until maybe I was in grade 6, and that was Grand Theft Auto Vice City on my PC. And I was just running people over because that's just what you do in Grand Theft. But like for the longest time, it was just Tony Hawk's, Spyro, like those kid-friendly sort of games.
All the Call of Duties I played never made me even want to pick up a gun to practice shoot.
I'm the exact same as yourself.
Yeah. I don't know.
I can know like that's the game. This is real life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a lot different to when we were kids. I think now you do have to really monitor what your kids are doing because, first off, some kids' personalities are starting to shape into little fuckwits. Like, I'm sorry.
Calling them out.
No, it really is.
Fair,
like, there's some people that need to like monitor if the way they're acting, the way they're talking shit to their friends. It's like, oh, I don't want you growing up in this direction where you think that's okay. Because we weren't doing that until we weren't talking shit on video games till like high school.
Yeah.
And now kids are talking shit on video games in prep.
Yeah, that's true.
So when at school or maybe at a sleepover, it'd be like, oh my God, he said fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Now in primary school, if you're playing video games, you're saying,
everything under the sun.
You're saying absolutely everything.
Anything and everything.
Anything and everything. And it's just going more and more and more. You're creating little fuckwits.
Yeah.
I don't think that...
And they think it's the norm.
They do think it's the norm.
Because all their mates are doing it.
Exactly.
So if all my mates are doing it, it's okay. And it's a classic. Because think about how many times were we in primary school and maybe you come home and like your mum would say, and you'd be like, oh, shut up. And back then she'd be like, how dare you? It's like, well, Jason says shut up. It's like, I don't care what Jason says. You don't say that in this house. Like, how many times have we done that? I think the other thing as well, which, Jono, would scare me, not necessarily scare me, but what would worry me about a child picking what video game to play is, these days so many games have microtransactions. A lot of the time, parents, for whatever reason, already have their credit card details attached. The amount of money that you have seen from different news articles saying, my son spent $2,000 on Fortnite, my son did... If whatever game you choose your son to play, Jono, just make sure that you don't have your credit card details attached, just in case, because it's so easy as well to do those little purchases, and they add up real quick.
I would say that's more on,
like, but the parent I feel like should know better.
Well, everyone's got notifications on when they spend, or if they go on their CommBank app or whatever bank they're with. How rich are you to not go through like every week and just check some of your spends? Surely if one random payment came out, if I had a random payment come out of my bank account, I would know.
Yeah.
So when I see these news articles where it's like, Ted spent $5,000 on Fortnite and his parents didn't even realize, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It comes back to parents on a lot of this stuff. But it's also, kids are getting smarter. It's very easy. Like, you don't even have to put in your own credit card. It's so easy for your kid to go into your wallet, grab your card number.
That's also true, and just go bang.
It's so easy. It's just numbers.
That is very true, actually.
But yeah, the mix of, I think that a lot more predators are on these games. Like they are starting with Minecraft, but now you're in a different scenario where not only can they talk clearly over the headset, they can also type out full-on messages and bring the kids out of the game into other aspects like Facebook, because all kids have social media now.
That's very true.
So how easy is it just get a Snapchat?
Yeah.
Or an Instagram, because all kids have Snapchat and Instagram.
Yeah, all their Snapchat scores, like we've said in previous podcasts, are already like 2 million.
Yeah, it's so easy. And
they add anyone and everyone as well on that.
They really do. So it's too young. I would 100% monitor it, and it's different. I would have hated as a kid to be monitored while I'm playing my video games, because I've even got a girl at work, their school mums let the girls in primary school have group chats, but they're all monitored. So apparently in primary school, because they can't help that, she even said, she's like, phones are just, if your kid doesn't have it, then they're excluded.
That's crazy. My first phone wasn't even until grade 6.
I know. And
that was a Nokia brick.
And I said to her, I was like, well, what about the group chat? She's like, no. We have apps where they're monitored. So any group chat when they're talking, all the mums can see everything. And I was like, oh, but...
It's sort of spying on your child, but at the same time...
No, primary school is that needs to be monitored.
I was going to say, this is where I feel though.
Take the cuffs off on high school.
I was about to say though, like as much as I feel like that's an invasion of privacy, I also think it's a good thing though that it's happening.
Yeah. What happens if you go into your group chat and your son
and or daughter
is asking a girl, and remember they're like 7 or 8, for naked photos?
Yeah.
Not on.
That's very true.
100% not on. But they're raised on like TikTok dances where everyone's twerking nonstop.
Well, that, or maybe they've got an older sibling.
Yeah.
As well that they're always with. And like their oldest. Yeah.
So I definitely think primary school completely monitor and also limit the amount. And I've always been the one to be like, if your son or daughter has smashed out all their homework, they're seeing friends and they're competing in sport, once they've completed those
then they
actions,
have their own free time.
Then give them free will.
Let
them do whatever they want on it.
Agreed.
But
if they haven't done what they need to do, don't then reward them.
But
with
100%, do not let them walk over you if they're screaming and kicking and they want their iPad, their video game. Fuck, they get off there. If you allow that, you're raising a kid who's going to think that he can get whatever he wants in life by just crying, screaming, and being a little shit. It's not on.
Yeah, I think. Just to go back, Jono, to your question about how would you pick a game for a kid to play, I think what you're doing already is great, mate, by just you testing out the game first, seeing what it's about and all that. If they're in primary school, I'm trying to picture myself if I was a father with my child. I definitely wouldn't want them playing any chat room games and all that. But it's so hard because I feel every game...
You don't want them to be excluded.
Every game nowadays is online. Like, the actual, I look at it, man, like, how often I would be catching up with my mates to play split-screen games, whether that's Tony Hawk or maybe MX versus ATV, like, all that stuff. I feel like that's, like, those days are gone. Like, you actually need to be online to play games. I was going to say, maybe, like, get your child to play, like, Lego games. Like, Lego games are pretty fun. They're puzzle games as well. They're a bit of fun. They're not a bad time. Sports games are always good, like your NBAs or FIFA, like that sort of stuff. I always had an enjoyment of that. But then it is hard if you don't enjoy it. I don't actually...
You know what I would do? I would do 2 things. I would do one where you have you go through some of the games that you looked up online and you have time where it's just you and him playing 2-player.
Yep, that's a good idea.
Just quality time together.
Yeah,
just playing 2-player.
Bonding as well. Like that's like memories that you'll cherish as well as a child.
And then maybe if he's playing the ROBLOX, you can get so many systems now where your PC will record the whole
session,
the whole monitor. Let him have free reign, but record the whole thing.
Yeah,
and then just double check. It's not that bad. He's in primary school.
That's true.
It's different if it was high school.
If worst came to absolute worst, like I'm throwing it out there, I'm going completely the other way now. A bit of devil's avocado, I guess you could say. If worst came to absolute worst and you're a bit uneasy of them on ROBLOX, just make an account yourself. Maybe try to find their and just join in on their session. As well.
you could do that. I think.
Like if you were like extremely concerned,
it is but I would record the session literally just to quickly skip through and to see if anyone's talked to him and said any things that are just out of pocket.
Yes.
If I know he's got a friend on there that said fuck buttface, all good. I'm not going to bring it up.
Yeah.
They're just kids being kids. But if I've got one like, hey, what's your snap? You're cute. I'd be like, nah. What is this? And I think from primary school, I really think it's okay. Like, I think it's okay to monitor and make sure that they're just not getting caught up with, especially those games that can definitely have predators. But I think in high school, that's when you need to let go of kids need to make their own mistakes and discover the world themselves, and you just need to guide them in the right path. But I know if I was in high school, I'd be super pissed if I found out my parent was monitoring anything I was doing. And then you get resentment. But primary school, what's a 10-year-old going to say? They're going to be fine. So, yeah, primary school, I reckon monitor and just make sure you get them in the right direction, and look for games that you can play together. And then in high school, people need to make their own mistakes, but just make sure you're there for them.
Yeah, cool. Well, there you go, John. Hopefully that one's helped you out there. And again, I know that we addressed it at the start of the podcast, but just a massive thank you for reaching out and sending us a message. Because sometimes we don't actually have topics.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
And Matt, I hope you enjoy that hoodie on one of those summer hot days.
Yeah, well, I think you'll love it. I think you'll definitely love it. So, yeah, Jono, mate, a massive thank you. And
Legend.
I would say that's all from myself, mate.
Bloody beautiful. Thank you, guys. That was Morokai 2 Oz, and we'll see you next one.
Boom.
Boom.